Are brought to you by So Rare. In my opinion, one of the most fun ways to play fantasy baseball. It's not the normal way of playing fantasy baseball. You use digital cards to build your team. And the better you do, the better prizes you can earn. Those prizes could even include a VIP trip to the All-Star game. Got tons of possible prizes you can win on So Rare. Go check it out. The link is in the description down below. It's completely free to sign up. Not even a penny to sign up. Go check it out. Signing up with that link down below really helps support the channel. So head on over there. Go check out So Rare. So here we go. You all know the drill. We start at 30, and we go all the way to number 1. I'm going to try and move through this a little quick tonight. I got some content, really, I need to work on. I got my mock draft that I'm putting together, and I will be releasing that tomorrow. I was hoping to release that tonight. I just wasn't able to get that done. So we'll go through this pretty quickly tonight. We'll talk about some rumors as well as we go along and some All-Star Game selections. So here we go, everyone. Let me make sure my potato brain has everything good to go. We do. We are good to go. Let's get this started, shall we? So, starting at number 30, we got the White Sox. The name of the game with the White Sox lately are trade rumors. And Garrett Crochet, their lone all-star for this year, and well-deserved. This guy's having an amazing year. But we got some news on Garrett Crochet when it comes to the rumor mill. The Dodgers, according to Doug McCain of Dodgers Nation, they got great content over there. If you're a Dodgers fan, go check it out. But he told Bob Nightingale that an offer was made for Garrett Crochet. If there is a team that could get it done, one of them would be the Dodgers. We all know what the deal is with the Dodgers. They got prospects for days. They got young players that I'm sure the White Sox would be very interested in. So look out for the Dodgers. They are definitely a strong contender for Garrett Crochet if they choose to go that route. We will see. But yeah, they are definitely strong contenders for him. Absolutely. You got some other teams out there too, like the Orioles I've talked about. Will they make a move? Will they pull the trigger? I don't know. I think that would be good for them if they did do that, but who knows? Who knows what happens there? But also, according to John Heyman, the Yankees have shown interest in Garrett Crochet. I'll be honest, when it comes to the Yankees, I don't know if the Yankees are going to be able to get a deal done for someone like Crochet. It seems probably a little bit out of their price range, I would imagine. Remember, with Garrett Crochet, it's going to cost a lot to get him. Why? Because he's good. He has multiple years of control, and he's very cheap. You need to remember that part when it comes to making trades for players is how much do they cost, right? That's something you always have to remember when it comes to trading for guys. Now, if I'm looking at the Yankees when it comes to pieces that they could possibly include, I mean, would they give up Spencer Jones? I feel like that would have to be a main piece in that deal. He's got a ton of value there. I don't know. I could even see a situation where the White Sox are asking for Spencer Jones, maybe George Lombard, who they just drafted last year, throw in a couple other pieces like a Chase Hampton, possibly. Yeah, the Yankees could get it done. But what's it gonna take? I would imagine Spencer Jones would have to be a part of that. We will see. But the fact that you're already hearing news about Garrett Crochet at this time, and we are, a few weeks away from the deadline, I mean, it's going to get hot for Garrett Crochet. So moving on, number 29, we got the Angels. Not really too much to talk about. Their lone all-star was Tyler Anderson. He's having a bounce-back year. Good for him. He could definitely be a trade candidate this year. But in the news lately, Carlos Estevez has received interest from other teams. He's having himself a pretty decent year in the bullpen. That could be a guy. Maybe he could be, maybe a closer for another team out there in contention. I would imagine with him, teams in contention, for the most part, you got guys that are already settled into positions, but maybe he could slide in as a sort of a setup guy, back end of the bullpen kind of a guy for a team in contention. So look out for Carlos Estevez, absolutely. But getting back to the All-Star break, the All-Star game, This was an obvious, but Mike Trout not voted to the All-Star game. I'm not saying that was a snub. I'm just saying, isn't it weird that this was actually, at least according to my calculations, if my potato brain saw this correctly, Mike Trout is not an All-Star for the first time, if you don't include 2020, where I know they didn't have the All-Star game that year anyway. First time in his career minus 2011, the year he got called up. But, I think he only played like 40 games that year, right? So, kind of crazy that Mike Trout, right? With how things have gone with him and his career in the last few years, just crazy, thinking that, not an all-star. And he's been an all-star, it seems, every single year. I think he has been an all-star in his every single year. So, pretty weird. Number 28, we got the Rockies. Couple of transactions here for them. A couple of moves in the past week. Dakota Hudson. Remember Dakota Hudson, man, going back to his days with the Cardinals, had a pretty good first year. People were really high on that guy, and he just fell apart. But he was DFA'd by the Rockies this past week, along with Elihuris Montero. He came back in the Nolan Arenado trade. He was also DFA'd. Man, you never know what's going on with the Rockies these days. But they are listening to offers for Cal Quantrill and Austin Gomber. That was another piece in the Nolan Arenado trade. Cal Quantrill, the ERA is much better than the FIP this year. So, if teams are looking for someone like a Cal Quantrill, don't expect them thinking like, okay, this guy is going to really give us a lift in the rotation. He's going to be a depth guy, back end of the rotation, kind of a guy that can give you some innings down the stretch. Sure, maybe even, put him in as a long reliever in the bullpen. I could see that. Same thing with Austin Gomber. I also want to point out, John Bitzer of Baseball Trade Values, they do a podcast, great podcast. If you are a fan of Baseball Trade Values, go take a listen to that podcast. It's always solid. But he made a good point here, thinking, will the Rockies actually give up Austin Gomber because it's so hard for them to get pitching in the first place? So we'll see what happens with him. He was looking pretty good for a little while there, but he's gotten kind of just wrecked in the last few starts. So who knows with Gomber. But we got the draft next week. Speaking of pitching, Chase Burns, Hagen Smith. Could one of those guys be Rockies by the end of next week? We will see. Tune in to the watch party next Sunday night. Number 27, we got the Marlins. Hey, I told you all this. Sorry, for the Rockies, Ryan McMahon is their lone all-star. Good season for him. Miami Marlins. I told you all this when Jesus Luzardo went down. I said I expect teams to still check on Jesus Luzardo, and that is the report from this past week. Teams are still calling about him, even though he went down with a back injury. I told you, I'm like, listen, if it was his arm, completely different story, right? But it's the back. So, that back, that's going to get better at some point. I think Luzardo, I do think he's trying to play catch up with his body from last year. He made 32 starts last year, threw a lot of innings. So I'm not surprised to see Luzardo having, these little dings so far this year, had some arm issues, and now it's the back. But the stuff that this guy has and the numbers that he put up last year, yeah, it's well worth looking into what it would take to get him. I am wondering, though, if the Marlins try hanging on to him because, maybe they can get a few starts out of him down the stretch, increase his value a little bit because he still has years of control. So maybe they could revisit that in the offseason. But I'm not counting out Jesus Luzardo getting moved at the deadline. However, the Marlins, though, if they do trade him, they're going to be selling low on him. They're not going to get as much back as they would have this past offseason. I think that was a mistake. I think the Marlins should have moved him. He was getting a lot of offers, and I had little birdies in my ear telling me that there were some teams really pushing to get him, and they held on to him, and hey, here we are. So, I thought Grisham just hit a home run. Oh, my goodness. I thought that guy just went deep. Other news for the Marlins, they designated Tim Anderson for assignment. Tim Anderson. This guy's just been having a lot of issues ever since the knockout from Jose Ramirez. I don't know, man. Hopefully he can maybe latch on somewhere, maybe get another chance. But it's crazy. Tim Anderson was one of the better players in Major League Baseball not too long ago, and now he's DFA'd. So as for All-Stars, Tanner Scott, All-Star, lone All-Star for the Marlins, and I expect him to get moved at the deadline. Speaking of rumors, we got the Oakland A's. And Brent Rooker, their best hitter, he's on the market. Let me actually double check here. Let me double check one little thing. Where is it? There we go. And, okay, so yeah. All-Stars for the A's. We got Mason Miller. I did not check on this one. He is the lone representative for Oakland. I think you could have made the argument for Brent Rooker, though. I really do think you could have made that argument. He's having himself a good year. And according to Bob Nightingale, the Philadelphia Phillies are keeping a close eye on Brent Rooker. You know, remember Rooker last year put up some good numbers, and he kind of cooled off a little bit. Pitchers were adjusting to him, and Rooker has come back this year, and he's really adjusted to them. And you know, he's made those adjustments, and he's having himself a good year for the Phillies. I mean, if they could add a bat like that, you know, you could have Marsh out in center field, you have Rooker out in left. You know, he can DH other days. You know, whatever it may be. It would be a really good addition for them. I would really like that for them. I think Rooker. I do think he's going to get moved. I just think, you know, he's getting close. He's not really close to free agency, but, you know, I think the A's should really cash in on him now while he's having a good year. You know, he has multiple years of control, but I think they really should move him. And the Phillies, they could afford him. The thing with Brent Rooker, he's not going to give you much value defensively. So really you're just trading for a bat with Rooker. Yeah, he'll go out and play left field, but he's not really great defensively. So I think this is a good opportunity for the Phillies because they could definitely acquire someone like him for sure. They have, I think, enough pieces, despite the farm being a little on the thinner side. It's definitely not one of the worst in Major League Baseball, but they wouldn't. What I mean is you wouldn't have to give up someone like Aiden Miller, or, you know, maybe you could do McAble in that kind of a deal. But I think you could even get around, you know, having to include someone like Abel. You're not going to have to give up Andrew Painter, you know. So I don't see Painter or someone like Aiden Miller being moved there. Maybe McAble. I don't even think, maybe Justin Crawford. I think that could be possible. We'll see. But oh, what a play, Rafi Devers. Whoa, when do you see Rafi Devers make a play like that? Woo! Oh, man, barehanded it. What a throw for Rafi. Man, oh, man. I think that was DJ LeMahieu. Was that DJ LeMahieu that just grounded out? Wow. You got to love it. Rafi, he is turning into something. Number 25, we got the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are definitely a talking point this year, and which is weird because we're not talking about winning baseball. We're talking about trade rumors. They did have a walk-off today. You know, they had themselves, you know, they did win 2 out of 3 against the Mariners, but they're 8.5 back in the wild card. You know, they lost 3 out of 4 to Houston earlier in the week. I don't know, man. It's just not looking good. It's not looking good. Jordan Romano, their closer, shut down for 6 weeks, had arthroscopic surgery on the elbow. Sure, Leo Jimenez, one of their higher prospects, got called up, made his MLB debut. I don't know, man. Things just aren't looking good. Yeah, you know, sure, Springer, he's been hot lately. He had the game-tying home run today. I don't know. They just don't got the juice, man. You know, Vlad, Bo, obviously those two guys, those are hot names when it comes to the deadline. But there's arguments to hang on to those guys. There's definitely arguments to move them. But the thing with Vlad is you're essentially trading for the bat, which has been great this year. He's having himself a big bounce back year. But again, kind of like Rooker, you're not really getting a lot of defensive value with Vlad Jr. So it's not going to take as much as you would think. And considering Vlad is a free agent after next year, that also comes into play with his value too. Someone like Brent Rooker, you could actually argue Brent Rooker has more value than Vlad right now in the trade market. I'm not saying Brent Rooker is the better player. I know someone is going to try and say that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying because Brent Rooker has been solid, but he has way more control than Vlad Jr. So that's the difference between the two. So Vlad, it's not going to cost a whole lot. And will the Blue Jays find it more valuable to hang on to Vlad or move him? We'll see. Now, Bo Bichette, because of the defensive value, I'm not saying he's even a great defender, but he plays a high-value defensive position. That alone is going to give some value there quite a bit. And Bichette has the track record. But at this point, our team's thinking, Bo, he just seems lost this year. Unless there's a team out there that thinks they could get him on track. I'm starting to think it's more likely they end up hanging on to those guys. They retool in the offseason, and they go for it next year. So we'll see. We'll see. But, it's not looking great with the Blue Jays. I think it's pretty much, it's July 7th now. You're 8.5 back. They're going to make some moves. Yusei Kikuchi, I think, is going to be the big piece that they can get some value back. You got some other guys. Yimi Garcia, I believe, just came back. They got a couple of pieces there they can move. I think Vlad and Bo at this point end up staying. I would be surprised if they get moved. It's fun to talk about, but at this point, I'm not quite sure if they get moved. Number 24, we got the Pirates. Hey, how about Paul Skeens? Paul Skeens, All-Star game. I was wondering if he was going to be named an All-Star because he got called up later on. I think it's a good move. I wonder. I haven't seen anyone complain about it, but I could see someone out there maybe complaining about that just because, he hasn't been up in the majors all year. So, I don't know. For me, the guy's been dominant. He's been amazing. Yeah. I mean, get that guy should be at the All-Star game. Absolutely. Brian Reynolds also going to the All-Star game. He's having a pretty good year. But for the Pirates, not great, this week. They dropped 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. Same thing with the Mets. They got one more game tomorrow. They're 4.5 back in the wild card. The Pirates, they're not essentially out of it, but it's kind of getting to that point, right? Are they going to have enough offense to make a drastic change here in their fortunes? I'm not quite sure. I think the Pirates, they're playing pretty well, but I think you're almost at a point where is it worth it to really go after a bat? I would love if they went and got someone like a Luis Robert. That would be great. But will they shell the prospects out? I'm not quite sure about that one. Maybe they could make a low-key kind of a move. We'll see. Oh, please get out. Rafi Devers has gone deep again, and the Red Sox lead it 3-0. Rafi Devers, have yourself some ice cream, my friend. Scoops for days for Rafi Devers. Touch that plate, my man. Oh, man, you can't stop the Sox. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Where was I? Jared Jones going to the IL with a lat strain. Remember they skipped his start, and they were talking about, we're going to manage his innings, give him a little bit of a break. I actually wonder if this was kind of what it is. So he's dealing with that right now. Bednar, he's starting to work his way back. He was placed on the IL. But, maybe Bednar, if he comes back, could he be moved? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Number 23, we got the Rays. They win 2 out of 3 against the Royals, but then they got swept by the Rangers. They're 5 back in the wild card race. The big story this week, they traded Aaron Savali going to the Brewers. I'm going completely blank on the name. Was it Gregory Berrios? I think it was Gregory Berrios that went back to the Rays. I think that was the name. Yes, it was Gregory Berrios. So, Yeet McGee, it was not Gregory Blanco. But no, Gregory Berrios, the Brewers sent him back to the Rays. Hey, young shortstop, having himself a pretty good year. More of a hit-first kind of a guy. Not really a whole lot of power, but he's quick, good in the field. He could be someone. The Rays, they have this thing where when they identify someone out there, not always, but I feel like more often than not, those players tend to hit and do pretty well. And we'll see what ends up happening there with him. But Aaron Savali, he wasn't having an amazing year, but we'll get to the Brewers in a little bit. But I was saying for so long, the Brewers needed to add something to that rotation. And with the way the Rays are always looking ahead, right? Even if they're having, a good year, they're still looking towards the future because that's what they have to do. They have to operate that way. So Savali, that was a guy that was expendable, when you got all this young pitching coming up and you got some young pitching coming back, Shane Baz, he's going to be coming back here. So, yeah, that to me made sense for the Rays, to make a move there. Taj Bradley has been pitching great. So now the question is, will the Rays move some other guys, right? Zach Eflin, he's been in the rumor mill a little bit. Remember about a month ago, he came up with the Braves, or like a month and a half ago. Zach Little, he's having himself a decent year. So don't be surprised if these guys end up getting moved. So Isaac Paredes, all-star from the Rays. Moving on here, number 22, we got the Texas Rangers. Like I said, the Rays, they just got swept by the Rangers, but they lost 2 out of 3 to the Padres. They're 7 back in the wild card race. At some point, you got to think here. The Rangers, they got some players coming back. Wyatt Langford, he's starting to hit pretty well. Like, DeGrom, he'll be back eventually, but if you're sitting there in the Rangers front office, right? You're Chris Young. You're thinking, do we have it this year? Do we really got it this year? I think that's a question that is right to ask, right? Could they go on a run? Sure, right? They got talent. But at some point, I feel like they're going to have to decide here within the next week or two. They got to make some moves, right? They're 7 back. You got pieces. You got Lorenzen, you got Heaney, you got Yates, you got Robertson. So yeah, you could maybe you could even sell off those pieces. Evaldi as well, sure. Nathan Evaldi, sorry, man. How amazing would that be if there could be a Red Sox reunion? I'm not banking on it, but it would be fun. So yeah, I think it's fair to ask. Should the Rangers sell? I think give it another week. Maybe they can get hot this coming week. Maybe they could shop that deficit. If they can get back to, within 4 games behind in the wild card going into the All-Star break, then I think you could see them standing pat, right? Waiting for some guys to get healthy. But if they're kind of still around, 7, 8 games back here, that's when I think you got to start thinking, all right, it's time to sell. At number 21, closing up this tier, we got the Nationals. With the Mets, I believe, so hold on, let me just double check here. Game 4 is tomorrow, right? That's a 4-game series. I'm going completely blank. Or was that just 2 out of 3? Or no, not the Mets, sorry, the Cardinals. So yes, game 4 with the Cardinals is tomorrow. But losing 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals so far, and then you split with the Mets. Sorry, I got that mixed up in my head. But, the Nationals, very similar situation to the Pirates, right? Young, up-and-coming team. They're 5.5 back in the wild card race. I think with the Nationals, I love their pitching this year. I think it's so good this year. They've really had some guys step up. Jake Irvin, my goodness. He's been having himself a great year. How did he not make the All-Star game? My goodness. I don't know. I think for the Nationals, you got to start thinking about that too a little bit. Let's see what happens this coming week. We'll see. But there were actually a couple of moves this past week. They released Nick Senzel. Man, that was a guy that was the number 2 pick back in 2016. Hasn't just been able to get it going in his career. He's had injuries. He was injured this year as well. He's only 29 years old. I do expect him to latch on somewhere. We'll see. Listen, when you're the number 2 pick in the draft, there is talent there, right? And I feel like because of his age, I still think he's going to get some chances. We'll see. And Eddie Rosario, going back to the Braves. Hey, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. But for the Nationals, you know, kind of just a whatever week. We'll see what ends up happening. But I feel like they're getting closer towards selling. We had 3 Super Chats here. 3 Super Chats from Jimmy Productions, my friend. You are amazing. And Ethan Sacco has gifted 10 memberships. My friend, you are absolutely wonderful. Wow, we got 10 new members thanks to Ethan Sacco. Is it Sa or Sa? Sacco or Sacco? I'm so sorry, my friend. You know how everyone knows how I am with pronunciations on some things. And Remixed here has been a member for 7 months. He says here, love the content. And my friend, I love you just as much. But yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate that. Let me get to these super chats here from Jimmy Productions. Always love to see what Jimmy has to say. What do we got here? So, first one, $9.99. Why do you think the Nats traded Trey Turner in the Max Scherzer trade? Do you think they should have kept him, signed him to an extension, and build around him? I mean, what was that trade again? They got, let's see, Nats. I believe Kyber Ruiz was in that deal. Let me go back to that. What was the return they got one more time? So it was Kyber Ruiz, Josiah Gray, and Gerardo Carrillo, and Donovan Casey. At the time, you know, Turner was coming up on free agency. You know, they knew he was going to get big money. They probably just didn't think. My guess with Turner is they just didn't think, you know, it was going to be a good deal in the long term. You know, I think that's really simply it. Scherzer made a lot of sense to move, right? He was coming up there, and he wasn't getting any younger. Yeah, I think you could make the argument the Nationals should have extended Trey Turner, but I think the Nationals, I think they saw the writing on the wall. I think they saw, you know, okay, we got some players, you know, coming up here, free agency, got some guys getting older. You know, they knew they were going into a new phase of Nationals baseball, and I think that's what it was, you know. Yeah, it might have been fun to keep him around, but hey, it is what it is. Jimmy, your next one. Assume the Juan Soto trade still happens, and they have the same roster, but they have Trey Turner on it. I mean, could you imagine? You know, hey, give it up for Trey Turner. He's having a great year. I'm making it sound like Turner is not a good player. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm talking about like the last few years of that contract. Maybe the Nationals just didn't think towards the end of it, you know, it would be very worth it. But, hey, give it up for Turner. He's having a great year. But, you know, could you imagine if they had Trey Turner and C.J. Abrams? Not bad. Not bad to think about. And then one more. Maybe Josiah Gray, Kyber Ruiz not on the team. You know, it's, you know, Josiah Gray, man, that's been one guy. I've been waiting for him to take that step forward because hasn't been able to. He's been hurt this year, you know. Kyber Ruiz, that's another one. I just feel like he hasn't really panned out. But I think the Nationals, they're on the right track here. You know, obviously they have really done great work with the pitching. You got the number 10 pick in the draft coming up next Sunday. Very excited to see what they do with that. I'm curious. Oh, Jansen seals the deal and the Red Sox win it. They win 2 out of 3 in the Bronx. Oh, man. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Oh, man. So I now feel good with where I'm at with the Red Sox in my rankings tonight. It's a good time to be a Sox fan. Ethan Sacco. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow. Great win. How about the Red Sox? Let's, you know, we'll get to them in a little bit, but we got to get to these updated standings. They are now, I mean, they already were firmly in the wild card position for our number 3. So now, there we go. Game and a half up on the Royals now. Man, oh man. And honestly, hey, call me crazy, but the Red Sox are 7.5 out from the division lead. Can't stop the Sox, man. Can't stop the Sox. What can I say? I told all of you, I said, listen, don't be surprised if the Red Sox have themselves a pretty good year. I told all of you, I said, don't underestimate this team. Go back to the preview stream that I did. Go to the part where I talked about the Red Sox. I told all of you. Here we go. Here we go. Moving on. We'll get to the Red Sox in a little bit. Let's get to the next tier. Here we go. At number 20, we got the Cubs. The Cubs, they're getting close to that conversation now. Buyer, seller. Man, oh man. Now just let me update the standings here. 6 games back in the wild card. Just make sure they're 5.5 back in the wild card here. They got to really start picking this up. They made Jed Hoyer made some comments this past week. He said, you got to be realistic. They obviously need to start playing better. But he also acknowledged, there comes a point where you got to do what's best for the organization. And according to Bob Nightingale, names like Cody Bellinger, Jameson Taillon, and Nico Horner could be trade pieces. I see you, Baseball AI. Cubs too high. I think the reason I have the Cubs this high is I'm banking on a bit of a comeback here. I'm banking on the Cubs starting to play a little bit better. I know some other people will disagree with that. I think that's fair. I think that's completely, for people to think this is too high. I definitely see what you're saying. I'm more banking on the Cubs starting to turn this around. They won 2 out of 3 against the Angels this weekend. I know it's the Angels, but we'll see. I'm ready to really shove the Cubs down pretty low for the next power rankings. I'm ready for it. I'm just seeing it, waiting to see if they can have themselves a good week. We'll see. But offensively, it's still cold. I'm waiting for these bats to turn it around. Ian Happ, he's been hitting well. That's pretty much it. They are getting some good starting pitching. Wesneski, he looked really good today. 6 1/3, 1 hit allowed, 0 earned. Imanaga, quality start against the Phillies. He's their all-star this year. Jameson Taillon, who I just mentioned, he had a good quality start against the Phillies, picked up the win there. Listen, for the Cubs, they need to hit, and the bullpen needs to be a little bit better. We'll see what ends up happening here. We'll see. But it's not looking great. Hey, a pretty good weekend for the Cubs. Let's see if they can keep this momentum going. I'm probably being a little hopeful for the Cubbies here, but I got them at number 20. We got some super chats in. I will get to those after this tier. That's kind of how I'm doing the super chats. I'm going to go after each tier. So I do appreciate that. So if you do want to get a super chat in, drop it before I get to that next tier, right? So here we go. Number 19. We got the Reds. Kind of a good start to the week. You swept the Yankees. Hey, not bad. Not bad there. But then you got swept by the Tigers. It's like, man, you started putting it together there, and then you got swept. 5.5 back in the wild card race. Let me actually just make sure, because I did have to refresh this. So the Reds now, they're 5 back in the wild card race. Ellie De La Cruz, he is their all-star. Well-deserved. This guy's having just an alien season. Jonathan India, his name is coming up now when it comes to trade rumors. And he actually even acknowledged it, said this past week he knows it's a business. And India's been red hot, man. I mean, if we take a look here at the numbers with Mr. India, let's actually pull these up here. Where are the Reds? There we go. He was red hot. Like, what was it, over like a 2-week stretch? And he's having himself, man, these numbers overall now, they're looking great. He's putting up his best numbers since 2021. He is on pace to beat those 2021 numbers, at least when it comes to the Fangraph wins above replacement. And also, an underrated thing with India this year, he's playing some better defense. I just want to shout that out here. But overall, India, he's hitting 277, a 380 on base, 414 on the slugging. This is a guy, he's one of those just glue kind of players, in my opinion. He's a guy that's going to really help out with the culture in the clubhouse. Just a guy with a good head on his shoulders, man. He goes out there. He plays hard. Yeah, I think India, that's a guy, if the Reds don't get this turned around here in the next couple of weeks, that's the one bright side about the Reds is it's not like they have like a bunch of expiring deals. You don't have to move someone like him if you didn't want to. Let me actually just double check here. India is a free agent. He's not a free agent until 2027, so it's not like they have to hang on to him or they have to, trade him, right? You can kind of go either way there. I think there's a good chance he ends up staying just because of that control, right? So we'll see, but the Reds, good start, but a bad finish to the week. Number 18. I had to put the Tigers here. Well, they just swept the Reds, right? They lost 2 out of 3 to the Twins earlier in the week. This is another team. What are we doing here? You're kind of hanging around, sort of, kind of, but what is it now? 6.5 back in the wild card race. They're 7 back in the wild card race. Hey, Tarek Skubal, I think there's an argument for this guy to start the All-Star game. I think there's a really good argument for it. 13 strikeouts today. He's 10-3 with a 2.37 ERA. That would be my guy. To start the All-Star game. Riley Green, also having a good year, joining him in Texas for the All-Star game. But this is another team. What do you do here? Do the Tigers sell? If the Tigers sell, I see you in the chat. Brandon Dillman, Skubal on his way to Baltimore. I bought him a plane ticket. I'll even pick him up at the airport. I love that. I love the generosity there. I love that. That's what we need to start doing, man. Hey, we'll call the team. We'll go pick him up for you. Get this deal done. Just do what you got to do. Make it happen. But if we were to look at Skubal's value, this is an interesting conversation because I've been seeing people bring this up. Personally, I don't think Skubal gets moved unless you give up a major prospect for this guy. Now, hear me out. He's got, at this point, about 2.5 years of control. He'll have 2 more seasons after this one. With the numbers that he's putting up, this guy has a lot of value. It's pretty high. Baseball trade values right now, median value of $95.7 million. It could go as low as $76.6, which is still high. Now, Brandon Dillman, if the Orioles were to pull off a trade like this, you will have to give up Kobe Mayo or Sammy Basayo. There's no way around it. Yes, I see you in the chat. Basayo or Mayo with Norby. Thank you. I appreciate an Orioles fan out there acknowledging that you're going to have to give up Basayo or Kobe Mayo. I've seen so many Orioles fans say, there's no way we're parting with Sammy Basayo. Absolutely not trading Kobe Mayo. It's like, do you want to go win a World Series or not? Do you want to go win this thing? Yeah, it's going to hurt a little bit to go get a big piece. When the Red Sox traded away Yoan Moncada as well as Michael Kopech for Chris Sale, I'm like, oh, man, those were some pretty good prospects. But we got Chris Sale. A couple years later, you win a World Series, right? Orioles fans, you got to start thinking here. You have an advantage. You have a farm system that can go get a deal like that done. Go get someone like Skubal. Go get someone like Crochet. Yeah, you should do it. Go do it. My goodness. Now, question is, will the Tigers make Skubal available? I don't know. Because another thing, too, I also wonder how far... Oh, is Pete Alonso in the home run derby again? Oh, okay. Alonso back in the home run derby. More meditating from Pete Alonso. Question is, will the Tigers actually trade Skubal? I don't think they will. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One, Skubal's had the injuries in the past. So I think that despite the good year that he's had, I think teams will not go crazy. I think teams could make a strong offer, but will they pony up either an extra piece or an upgrade in a prospect, to go get a deal done? I don't know if a team would be willing to do that with his injury history. And I think the Tigers also want to compete. So I think it might make some sense to hang on to him. But then you can make the argument, too, because of the injuries that he's had, do you trust him moving forward? I think it's a really good question to have. So, a good question to ask. We'll see. Right now, I'm leaning towards him staying, but I think that could change in a couple of days. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not there yet. Not there yet. Moving on. We got the Mets at number 17. Just announced. Pete Alonso going to be in the home run derby. He is their all-star. I will say this. I know people are going to get grumpy about this one. Offensively, no, Francisco Lindor probably shouldn't be at the All-Star game. But, man, he's been so good on defense this year. He's been so good. All around, Francisco Lindor, I think, has had a good season when you look at everything. 15 home runs, 16 stolen bases, good defense, great defense, actually. Is there an argument for Lindor when you weigh the whole picture to be in the All-Star game? I think there is. Now, if you're looking at just the stat line, maybe not. So, I think Lindor, I think he deserves a little bit more love. That's just my opinion. But the Mets, splitting with Washington, they win the first 2 of 3 against the Pirates. Game 4 is tomorrow. Offense got red hot there. The Grimace Mets were just wrecking everyone. They cooled off this week, though. Brandon Nimmo, he's still hitting well, but that's pretty much it. They need these other guys to start picking it back up. They're getting some decent starting pitching lately. Manaea, 6 shutout today. Had a pretty good start last time out as well. Quintana had a quality start this past week. They just need to get more starting pitching from that team. The bullpen, they're holding it down for the most part. I think the Mets, hey, they got a chance here. They're in this thing. They're 2 out. I think they're going to be a really interesting team at the deadline. I feel like at this point, they really could be that team that just stands pat. Maybe they move a piece. But if they keep floating around this territory like 2-3 games out, it's so interesting to see what they end up doing. I don't know. I think could do a bit of a buy and a sell. Maybe sell off a couple of pieces. Maybe that could bring in some future value. Maybe they bring in like something to help the rotation. Maybe they could deal something of strength. Something that, I don't know. I got to actually look at their roster to see, but I think the Mets could get creative with David Stearns there, right? Maybe add something for the rotation. We'll see. Number 16, we got the Giants. We got the Giants at number 16. And, hey, started off the week pretty well, winning 2 out of 3 against the Braves. You lost 2 out of 3 to the Guardians over the weekend, though. But you know what? I think the Giants are slowly but surely taking some good steps. They're 13th in offense overall. Elliot Ramos, Chapman, Conforto having good weeks. Speaking of Ramos, he is an all-star along with Logan Webb. Logan Webb actually picked up a W against the Braves this past week. Speaking of starting pitching, Blake Snell, he will be back this week. Can Blake Snell finally stand up? Can the real Blake Snell please stand up? We don't need Blake Smell anymore, okay? We need Blake Snell to step it up here for the Giants. Let's see if he can get back on track here. It's going to be interesting. Bullpen has been great for the Giants lately. Very solid. Duvall, who wasn't... I saw his name coming up in trade rumors like a month ago, and I'm like, what? Like, this guy's so good. Why would the Giants move him? No, absolutely not. 3 saves this past week for Duvall. I'm just saying. But hey, for the Giants, they're slowly but surely, I think, getting themselves into this thing. I know they're not a great weekend, but they're showing signs of going on a bit of a run. But if they do fall back, they definitely have some pieces they can move at the deadline. Number 15, how about the Arizona Diamondbacks? They are finally out of that weird lower part of the second tier. They're in the middle. Here we go. The Diamondbacks had themselves a great week. 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers and the Padres. That offense, I was telling all of you, Diamondbacks offense has been pretty good. Not bad at all. And their offense has been killing it lately. They're first in offense over the last 7 games. Christian Walker, who did not get voted to the All-Star game. I mean, Christian Walker is having a great year. How did this guy not get picked? I mean, we got to just go look at the stats. I mean, look at the numbers this guy's putting up. Right now, he is 22nd in Fangraph WAR, which for a first baseman, because of the positional value, they tend to get knocked down a little bit unless you're like Freddie Freeman. But Christian Walker, this guy's having a great year. He's hitting 268, a 341 on base, 516 on the slugging, 22 home runs, 64 RBIs. I mean, he's top 10 in home runs in Major League Baseball. How did this guy not get to the All-Star game? I don't get it. I'm so tired of the All-Star game, the voting of it, the selections. I'm so over it. There needs to be a new system. Christian Walker should be at the All-Star game. I'm just saying. Where was I? The Diamondbacks are really good lately. Suarez actually had himself a good game today. 3 hits, had a home run, 5 RBIs on the day. Could he be heating up here? We will see. He's been a bust so far for the Diamondbacks. They need that bat to get going. Peterson, he's been pretty solid lately. They've been fine with the starting pitching. They're getting some good starts lately. Their bullpen, I think that bullpen needs something. They got a couple of guys really stepping up there, but I would like for them to add like a good middle reliever there, like just something that can really hold down the middle of that bullpen, right? They got a couple of guys who've had some clunkers of years, so I'd like for the Diamondbacks to add something there, but they're starting to come around here. They're getting healthy. They got Gallen back recently. Offense is looking great. Liking what the Diamondbacks are doing right now, and hey, they're positioning themselves just like they were last year. They're 2 games back in the wild card. We saw the Diamondbacks last year at one point, in the last couple of weeks, they weren't even in the playoffs at one point. And they snuck in. Hey, don't let the Diamondbacks get hot. Don't let them get healthy because they're starting to look pretty good. Number 14, this was a team that was also hot recently. Unfortunately, they cooled off over the weekend. They won 3 out of 4 against Toronto, but then they dropped their series to the Twins. Wow. How about the Twins? We'll talk about the Twins in just a little bit. But wow, the Astros looked not good in this series. But it's weird because they were looking great Saturday. They were up big, and then the Twins scored 7 on them in the 9th inning. And then Josh Hader today blows it, gives up the walk-off home run to Christian Vasquez, Red Sox legend. Just a bad weekend for the Astros, man. Just not a good weekend. Great weekend for the Twins. We'll talk about them in just a little bit. But the Astros, the problem with them has not been the offense. Offense has always been solid this year. The pitching has been better as of late. But the bullpen now is starting to give them issues, right? They were a very bad bullpen this past week. Luis Contreras, he was charged with 6 earned runs in that Saturday game against the Twins. Hader, he came in, he allowed 3 to score, gave up a home run there, and then Hader giving up the home run to Vasquez here. I'm just saying, man, the Astros, all of a sudden, things were feeling good, and now not good. Right, very quickly how that can turn. Ronel Blanco, I think there was an argument for him to be in the All-Star game. Tucker, Alvarez, Altuve, they're all-stars. But Blanco, I think, made himself a case. I wonder if that suspension just didn't really help him out. He had the sticky stuff on there or whatever he was using, sorry. But funny thing with Ronel Blanco, ERA looks good at a 2.53, but the FIP is at a 4.35. So, the strikeouts, he's not a ton of strikes. He's having a good year. I'm not saying he's having a bad year, but I wonder if we start seeing Blanco come back down to earth a little bit. But either way, I feel like there was a case for him to be in the All-Star game. We'll see. But the Astros, bad weekend. Let's see if they can get this turned around here in the coming week. Number 13. Man, oh man. Listen. I don't know what it is about. I know what it is about this Mariners team, but I don't know what this team is. Like, I know it's. I don't even know what I'm saying. I know what they are, but like, are they going to keep being this way? Is this the Mariners team that we're going to see for the rest of the year? A bad offense, but great pitching? I don't want that. I want the Mariners to start doing something here. Please. I mean, my goodness, you dropped both your series this week, losing 2 out of 3 to Baltimore and the Blue Jays. No one's hitting in this offense. Like, another cold week for the offense. They're getting good pitching, right? Castillo, Kirby. Kirby looked good today, but he had a good start prior to that. Castillo looked pretty good last time out. Gilbert, he was a little shaky against Baltimore. They need something. They need something in this offense. I don't know what that is. I was kind of looking at this Mariners team, and I'm thinking, on it. Let's be real here for a second. Would Luis Robert even help this team? Because when you're looking at the year that he's having, he's hitting for power, but that's pretty much it. Do the Mariners need someone like that? They need a guy that's going to get on base, a guy that's just going to keep the offense moving. It just feels like there's just so many momentum killing bats in this offense. I feel like I'm trying to find the words, but it's weird because they have talented players. They have names, but it's just not working, J-Rod, luckily for him, there was something they're going on there with his quad this past week. He had the MRI, but it came out clean. But I'm kind of thinking here, J-Rod, he's got to pick it up too. He's got to make those adjustments. I really do think at the end of the day, I think this Mariners team, there's a philosophical issue going on with this offense. And sure, maybe a guy that can get on base can help you, but will the Mariners go out there and really go, for a big bat? I don't know. I could maybe see, this one's not going to be a sexy one, but someone, I'm not saying this name exactly, but maybe someone like Justin Turner, someone that makes contact. He can put the ball in play. He gets on base. He works counts. I feel like they need someone like that other guys can feed off of, if that makes sense, Someone that can just really come in there and just kind of lighten the mood a little bit, kind of help things, get moving a little bit. Now, I'm not saying Justin Turner is the answer, but again, an on-base kind of a guy like that, someone that's just going to, when you got momentum going, someone that's just going to keep it going, So we'll see with this Mariners team. I do think they will make a move. Listen, they're heading in the division right now, right? They're 2 games up or is it 2 games now? It is, yeah, they're 2 up in the division now. So they will make a move. It's just getting a little worrisome here in Seattle. And number 12, we got the St. Louis Cardinals. How about the Cardinals this week? Winning 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. Winning the first 2 out of 3 against the Nationals. Game 4 tomorrow. This has just been a pretty solid team overall. Bad start, but they've just kind of gotten themselves together over the last month or so, just playing solid ball. They're not going to have the flashiest offense. They're not going to have the flashiest rotation, but this is just a group of guys that gets the job done. But a lot of credit goes to the bullpen, right? Ryan Helsley, their all-star this year. Mason Wynn, hello? Mason Wynn's having a pretty good year. Why isn't he going to the all-star game? But Ryan Helsley, he's been big for that bullpen. He has really just solidified things there. They are 6th in relief pitching this year as of right now. But the Cardinals, man, they're just getting the job done. And that's what I like about this team. As of right now, the Cardinals have the second wild card spot. And Arenado lately, let's actually give a little bit of a shout out to Arenado because he's starting to pick it up lately. He was off to a really cold start, but he's hitting really well. Over the last 7 games, he's hitting .345. Over the last 15 games, he's hitting .305. And over the last 30 games, he's hitting .292. He's got to get the power going, though. Over the last 30 games, he only has a .381 slugging. I brought this up with with the Rockies earlier, right? Austin Gomber, that was a piece they got back. Maybe that's a guy that could end up getting moved. Elihuris Montero, that was a guy they just DFA'd. It's funny thinking back to that trade, right? Because a lot of people were like, whoa, you paid $50 million to trade Nolan Arenado? But then you kind of look at these numbers, right? And it makes me wonder if the Rockies, maybe we're kind of onto something a little bit. Now, I hope Arenado starts getting this going. I do. But we are seeing some signs. But this is kind of what I was thinking here, when they traded him away. I was jokingly, kind of half serious, half joking, saying, hey, the Rockies, they won the Nolan Arenado trade. Well, obviously, talent-wise, they didn't win. But, from a money point of view, if they were paying Nolan Arenado this money this year, and we see how bad the Rockies are, I mean, that'd be just like a waste of money, right? And with the numbers that he's putting up, hopefully this hot streak keeps going. But I need to see a little more power here from Arenado, right? I don't know. I'm not saying the Rockies, they were, they made that was a great move. Obviously, the bad move, and I've said this before, the problem was signing Arenado to the extension in the first place. They should not have done that. I don't know why they did it. I think they were kind of, at the time, I think they were riding a high, and I think they were like, all right, cool, we got a team that can really go out there and compete, and Arenado's our guy. And then they just had a clunker of a year. I believe 2019 was the year, and then he was having injuries. And I just think the Rockies, they were like, oh, crap, we messed up with this extension. We shouldn't have done it. All right, now we got to, because he was an underwater contract when they moved him. So that's why they had to pay the $50 million, and, sorry, I know he's having a good stretch here. I'm not trying to bring that down. Hopefully he keeps this going, but it's just funny thinking back to it. The Cardinals, they're playing great lately. If I were to actually just shout out a couple of guys for the Cardinals, you got Brendan Donovan hitting really well lately. Mason Wynn, he's been hitting great. Burleson, he's been hitting well. They got guys stepping up, not just Arenado. So let's see. I think the Cardinals, they're a team to look out for when it comes to making some kind of a move. We'll see. Also, I want to point this out with the Cardinals. They got the draft next Sunday. They got the 7th pick in the draft. I'm excited to see what they do, man. I really am. I'm gonna put this into your ear right now. Man, I would love to see them go get Nick Kurtz. If he's available at number 7, Nick Kurtz, first baseman from Wake Forest, I would love that pick. I would love that. I think that guy is going to be just a solid hitter in the majors, man. Plate discipline, off the charts, power. Dude's massive. Plays a good first base. That's your guy. That's your heir apparent to Paul Goldschmidt right there. I would love that pick for the Cardinals. I see you in the chat here. Maybe Chase Burns, maybe Hagen Smith could go there. I think the Cardinals fans, you should be very excited about this draft. If you're in the top 10 in this draft, you should be excited because it's a very top-heavy draft. And I think all of these players have a shot at being key contributors in the major leagues. I'm really excited for it. Number 11, let's finish off this tier here. And we got the Royals coming in at number 11. Not a good week for the Royals. Losing 2 out of 3 to the Rays and the Rockies. They fall back out of the top 10. I took them out a couple of weeks ago, and then I put them back in, and now they're back out. The offense, not really getting a whole lot there lately. Pitching, Brady Singer, he had a pretty good start today. But overall, they're just not playing great lately. They've not had a good stretch over the last month or so. I was kind of wondering if this was going to happen with the Royals. Get off to a pretty good start. You got some talent there, got some energy there, but eventually teams adjust. And I thought with the Royals, does this team have enough? Yes, they added some stars in the offseason. Lugo's been amazing, but is it enough? I don't know. They're starting to show some signs of really crumbling here. I don't know. The Royals, they're worrying me a little bit. I was hoping I was wrong, but I'm starting to see some cracks, right? Sure, yeah, you got Bobby Witt. Obviously, he's been amazing, and he's been hot lately. Pasquantino has been pretty good lately, too. But they just don't have other guys stepping up and really picking up the slack, right? Melendez has been terrible. I'd love for the Royals to go out of bat. Someone like a Taylor Ward, maybe even someone like Brent Rooker, I think could be really good for this team. We'll see, man, but they really need some guys to get going here. Yeah, Lugo, this guy's amazing. I think there's an argument for Lugo to even start the All-Star game, to be completely honest with you. Michael Wacha, he's been pretty solid lately. Reagan's, he's been good. Right? They got the pitching. We know they can pitch. However, I will say this. I think the Royals need to add something for the bullpen. I think they need a reliever back there. They're 24th in relief pitching on the year. I think they need something there, right? They need a bat. They need a reliever. You got a good rotation, but that's not going to be enough, right? Whenever I think of a team that does well, that is, a team that can make the playoffs, I think of three heads, right? I think of the lineup, I think of the rotation, I think of the bullpen. If you got 2 out of 3, you're most likely, more often than not, you're going to be a good team. But if you got 2 areas, like even if you have one really strong area, but the other 2 are just not that good, you're most likely going to be probably not a great team, right? They got the rotation here, but lineup is lacking, bullpen's lacking. We'll see. We'll see with the Royals. But All-Stars, Bobby Witt, Lugo, who I just mentioned, Reagans, and Salvador Perez. The Royals, they got some names here, man. They got some names. Moving on. We are done with this tier. Let me get to some Super Chats here. We had a lot of Super Chats drop. Here we go. Ethan Sacco. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for helping me out there. Thank you, my friend. You say, I gift anytime the birds do good. Well, hey, listen, if the birds can keep doing good, I think everyone will love you in this chat. Ethan, thank you so much for that. We had Maury's Life. Maury's Life. Giants are not disappointing right now. I always love when Maury's Life is in a good mood. It makes me feel good. Hopefully Blake's smell does not return this week. Conman752, $10 super chat. Thank you for that. The Orioles appreciate it, but as long as you overtake the Yankees, and you appreciate the Red Sox win. You can't stop the Sox. As long as you overtake the Yankees and stay 5+ games behind us, we won't have any problems. Would Jansen still be moved even with the hot streak? Listen, man, I'm just saying, you can't stop the Sox, and can the Orioles stop the Sox at this point? I don't know, man. I'm just saying. It feels so good. I feel like I felt like I was the only one out there this past offseason saying, hey, I think the Red Sox got a shot. And here they are, and they're proving people wrong. I love it. Jansen, will he be moved? I don't think so. Even if the Red Sox lose a couple of games here until the deadline, unless they really start to drop some games, which is always possible, we'll see. But at this point, if they keep playing like this, I don't see them moving Jansen. Would he bring back maybe a prospect? Sure. I just don't see it, right? You're paying him $16 million for the year, so at the trade deadline, you're going to owe him like $7.5 million at that point. Sure, he could definitely help out a team, but because of the money that you're paying him, his value is just going to be lower because of that money, unless the Red Sox pay it. But really, are you going to be getting a whole lot for Jansen at that point? And then you're just risking the clubhouse morale at that point. I think it's got to be an either or kind of a thing. I think you need to be on either one side of the coin. Are you competing or are you not, right? The Red Sox, they've been kind of blurring the lines a little bit the last couple of years. They did make a couple of moves a couple of years ago with Christian Vasquez. I mean, hey, look at what that brought back. Willie Abreu's been good this year. But, last year they just didn't even do anything, a couple of years ago, you probably should have traded Bogarts and Evaldi, or at least seen what you could have gotten for those guys. But I think for the Red Sox, it's either you add or you sell. I don't think you should just stand pat if you're this team. You got to go one clear direction, because that's been the problem, is they haven't picked one way or the other in the last couple of years necessarily. So, but I appreciate that, my friend. I appreciate that. Glad we can help with the division. Ethan, thank you again for that super chat. Daniel Myers, $4.99. Do the Reds have any hope? It's getting depressing watching the offense. I don't know, man. They had a lot of injuries. They had some bad luck in the beginning of the year. You lost Matt McClain. That's a high energy guy for them. And they lost him. Yeah, I don't know. Noelvi Marte, he had the suspension there. I just feel like they lost a lot. I think they could be a team that maybe makes a run in the second half when they fully get healthy. Friedel, he missed some time too. We'll see. I could see the Reds being a bit sneaky. I don't necessarily think they need to sell off a bunch of pieces. I think for the most part, you'll see the Reds, I think they'll lean more towards standing pat, if anything, and see if they can just go on a run, because they got a core here that can help them compete next year too. But hopefully they can pick this up. Lem Chomp with a $1.99. Don't let the snakes get hot. Don't let them get hot, my friend. Don't let them get hot. They are playing really well. Conman752, $10 super chat. Elias needs to pull off his own Justin Verlander trade this season. I remember saying that a while back. I always think about that, right? I think the Orioles will. I think they will. Burns' trade was kind of that, but if he doesn't make at least one trade for a pitcher, then he's not serious about a World Series run. This team is so good. I completely agree with you. They absolutely need to go make a move. I'm so tired of seeing Orioles fans say, no way, no, we're not trading Sammy Basallo. Dude, Sammy Basallo, yeah, he could be really good, but I don't know, man. You have such a good shot to win a World Series this year. You really have it. And you got Kobe Mayo there. It's not like he's a prospect, that you're going to be missing out on production at, first base or DH down the road. You're still going to have one or the other, right? If you trade Mayo, you're still going to have Basallo. If you trade Basallo, you still have Mayo. It's so simple to me to include one of those guys. But again, I see Orioles fans, not all, but I see some out there say, no, we gotta keep those guys. Yeah, there comes a point in time where you love your prospects and you hang on to them. But there's also a point in time where you really got to go for it, right? And if you got pieces that can help you with a trade that won't sting that bad, then you do it, right? So I agree with you. Thank you for that. Maury's Life, $1.99. I see Snell at work every day anyways. Maury's Life, what do you mean by that? Who are you? Who are you? I need to know, how do you see Blake Snell every day at work? Tell me what you know. Tell me who you are. I need to know. Who are you? I need to know. Are you Farin Zadie? Are you Farin Zadie? Beevlings Gaming, $5 super chat. What moves to the Royals would you do? What bat and what arm would you want them to go after at the deadline? Yeah, look, hey, good timing. I just mentioned it a little earlier. I think Brent Rooker, would be a good move. Taylor Ward, a corner outfielder, I think, would make some sense. And a bullpen guy. I think something for the bullpen. You're always, Maury's Life. That's awesome. You work security at the Giants Stadium. That's awesome. Tell Blake Snell to stop being Blake Smell. Tell him I need Blake Snell back. Tell him that. But yeah, Royals, yeah, I think a corner outfield bat and something for the bullpen, I think would make some sense. So, to the top 10. Here we go. To the top 10. Let's go through this here. We've been live for a little while. Are we at 100 likes? We are. Everyone, can we hit 200 likes? Let's get us to 200 likes. I'm going to put a new poll up. And make sure you vote in the poll. Here we go. Can we hit 200 likes? I think we can. It's going to be a long shot. We're 70 away, but I think we can do it. Here we go. Moving on. Top 10. Let's get this wrapped up here. At number 10. Oh. I'm making an audible here, everyone. I'm making an audible. It's time. It's time to make an audible. I'm doing it. Here we go. Where are we? Where's the team? I'm going to put here instead. All right, we're going to make the switch. There it is. Oh, it looks beautiful. I can't wait for people to complain about it. I can't wait. Starting off at number 10. We got the Padres winning 2 out of 3 against the Rangers. They did lose 2 out of 3, so they actually drop a little bit from last week, but they're still in the top 10. They're 4th in offense on the year. The offense has pretty much stayed steady for the most part lately. Not much today. You had the Profar home run, but he's been hitting pretty well. Machado, David Peralta hitting well. And, offense, I think it's been an underrated offense this year. I think people think, oh, they don't have Juan Soto anymore. Bogarts got hurt. Well, he wasn't doing that great anyway. But I wonder if that's like a perception kind of a thing because they traded away Juan Soto. They think this offense isn't good. It's a very good offense. I don't know if that's some kind of a thing out there. I'm not sure. But they're 4th in offense on the year. Starting pitching has been solid for the most part. Michael King, 2 earned runs over his last 2 starts. He's been pitching great. What a pickup he's been. In the beginning, it was looking a little clunky, but he's doing really well. Vasquez, he was good against the Diamondbacks. Like the offense, starting pitching, been pretty good lately. Bullpen has been solid. Suarez actually going to the All-Star game, along with Profar, Tatis Jr., Luis Arraez, and Jackson Merrill. Good for Jackson Merrill getting the nod to go to the All-Star game. He has absolutely earned it. He's been having himself a great year. But the Padres, up and down week, that causes them to drop for my Red Sox, who swept the Marlins and won 2 out of 3 in the Bronx. They had the clutch win on Friday night. Big loss Saturday. Ben Rice. Oh, my goodness. What the heck happened there? Rafael Devers. This guy's red hot lately. 2 home runs tonight. He was hot coming into tonight. Had the big home run off of Cole in a losing effort. Garrett Cole, I think, was about to snap on the mound. I don't know why that was so funny to me. It looked great. Cole was like, what the heck just happened? Garrett Cole's reaction to the bat flip from Rafi Devers, it was so funny to me. Like I couldn't get over it. Yoshida, he's also been hitting really well lately, other than the clutch home run on Friday night. Down to their last strike, hit a bomb. Gotta love that. Cutter Crawford, what a start for him tonight. He looked great in a close game. Bullpen is underrated this year. I don't think people realize how good this bullpen has been. Justin Slayton has been awesome this year. Jansen's been shutting it down. How is Jansen not in the All-Star game? Am I missing something? I'm not trying to be a biased homer here, but how is Clay Holmes in the All-Star game over Kenley Jansen? Am I missing something? I don't know. Listen. I know Holmes, he's had his moments this year, but I'm still a fan of the guy. But come on, when you're looking at the numbers, Kenley Jansen should be in this All-Star game over him. It's not like the Yankees needed, to have, they already had Soto and Judge. Did you need to add Clay Holmes to this? Why is Clay Holmes in this All-Star game? And also, Joey C., you make a good point there too, he has the second most saves. So Craig Kimbrell had the bad start to the year, but he's been pitching pretty well. How is Kenley Jansen not in this All-Star game? I don't know what to say. Jansen's been amazing. Jarren Duran going to the All-Star game. I knew he was going to go to the All-Star game, but I was more upset about the fact that he was 19th in the fan voting. 19th? It's fine if he doesn't start the All-Star game, but he was 19th in fan voting? What the heck is going on? Red Sox are playing great baseball. They're playing great. You got to love what's going on here, man. Listen, no one was giving this team a shot. No one. There were a couple of Red Sox fans out there were, whenever I would say, I think the Red Sox are going to be pretty good this year. I think they're going to be a better team. I had a lot of people coming after me saying I was just a moron. I didn't know what I was talking about. This guy sucks. I had all that. Well, right now, it's looking all right. I saw a team that had some upside here, had better depth in the organization. That has been a key for this team, in my opinion. It's not the talent on the team. You have to remember, the depth in the organization is such a big deal. It really is, man. Like, you play 162 games. Even 81 halfway through is a lot. you're going to have guys go down, And the Red Sox, they have an improved farm, and they can call on guys now. They didn't have that in the last couple of years. They had none of that. That's been big, right? We'll see if they can keep this up. I think right now, with how things are, I really do think they are going to be there until the end. Will it be enough? I don't know. Ex-Cobra King, we need to buy. Yeah, we do. Go improve this team. I understand you got to look out for the long-term health of the franchise. I don't think they should give up either of their big three prospects. Meyer, Teal, Anthony. No, hang on to those guys. But, man, if you got a chance to improve the team with a guy that has control, or he's going to be a cheap rental, one or the other, if you, for example, I think Garrett Crochet is going to cost too much. I mean, absolutely, someone like Scooble is going to be way out of the question. But if you could go get a guy on an expiring deal, that won't cost you a whole lot, like a mid-level prospect, I think you should do that. Maybe someone in the, I wouldn't say anyone in the top three. If I'm looking at the Red Sox prospects, if I were to give you some prospects who I would be okay with parting with, so not Meyer, not Anthony, not Teal, Miguel Blaze, I don't know. If the deal was right, I would trade him. I know there's a lot of upside there, but I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of advanced metrics. The numbers just aren't quite there, though. I think they could get better. It depends on the deal. I think it depends on the deal. Nick York, he's been hitting really well this year. A part of me wants to hang on to him, but if there was a deal, I think I'd be okay with it. You got, maybe like a Nazan Zanatello. He was drafted in the second round last year. Maybe someone like a Mikey Romero. Maybe like an Alan Castro. I would hate to Chase Majdroth. I would hate to trade him because he's having a good year. But that could be someone. I think there are some guys you could part with, but don't part with the top guys. I don't want to do that, right? Number 9, enough of my Red Sox. As much as I would love to talk about them, we got to move on. Number 8, we got the Brewers. Brewers, where are those Brewers fans from last week? Where are they? Are you here? What happened? What happened to the Brewers this week? I thought they were the best team in Major League Baseball. Hello? I thought they were like the number 1 team in Major League Baseball. What happened? I don't know. I'm trying to find the answer here. I'm not going to sit here and say I told you so, okay? But listen, the Brewers are good, okay? They had a bad week. They split with Colorado. You lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers. I'm just saying. Goodness gracious. I don't know what's been going on with the Brewers fans lately. They've been in my comments. They've been in the chat. They've been yelling at me. They've been coming after me. And I'm like, listen, I like the Brewers. I'm not sitting here and saying they're a bad team. But my goodness, what has been happening in Milwaukee land? But, hey, not a great week for the Brewers. 9th in offense on the year, though. You still got Yelich, Contreras, Churio hitting well. They picked up Aaron Savali. We talked about that a little earlier. I think that was good for the innings in the rotation. I think they need to add someone else. In my personal opinion, I think they need one more, right? I'm not saying you're going to go out there and get a Garrett Crochet. I'm not saying that's something you have to do. But it would be nice, I think, to get one more. I don't think Savali is fully the answer. Go get one more guy. Peralta, he was kind of whatever against the Dodgers this week. Colin Rea, though, he looked great against the Rockies. He went 7 shutout. Bullpen, I don't think you necessarily need to do something with the bullpen because you're going to get Devin Williams back. So that's going to be a good addition just without even having to give up a player. But hey, for the Brewers, not a great week. But I still think they're very good. So Brewers fans, calm down a little bit, all right? So stop yelling at me all the time. My goodness. Number 7, we got the Twins. We got the Twinkies. How about the Twinkies playing really well, winning 2 out of 3 against the Detroit Tigers and the Houston Astros this past week. They have won 5 straight series. I was really weird about the Twins. Go back like a month ago. I'm like, all right, you got this hot, cold team, but they're starting to really get it going here. This is a consistent team we're starting to see unfold. Offense is looking amazing. They are banging the ball right now. Christian Vasquez, Red Sox legend, walk-off home run today. Jose Miranda, this guy's been insane. He had a hit in 12 straight at-bats. That tied a major league record. He's hitting .667 with a .958 slugging over the last 7 games. Byron Buxton, he's staying hot. Brooks Lee is looking amazing. This guy was a high draft pick not too long ago. 9 hits and a home run in his first AB, or in his first 19 ABs. Gotta love what the Twins are doing. They're getting pretty good pitching overall. Bullpen has also been really solid. I think that's an underrated aspect of this team. They got guys locking it down there. Really like what the Twins are doing lately. That's what I like. I just like seeing the consistency here. I like seeing the consistency. So, now we have an interesting one here for the number 6 spot. Got an interesting one here. It's either going to be the Braves or it's going to be the Yankees. The Yankees just dropped another series to my Red Sox. I don't want to kick them while they're down, but I think the question is fair. Do the Yankees drop to 6 here? I had them 5 last week. Or do we go with the Braves at number 6? I think the Braves, because here's the thing with the Braves, is yes, they won 2 out of 3 against the Phillies. Yes, that's huge. That's a big series win. Absolute big series win. Very big. But losing 2 out of 3 against the Giants, if they had won that series, man, this would be easy. But I think that's a big win with the Phillies. I think that's huge. So, yeah, I'm going to make the audible. I had, coming into the game tonight with the Red Sox and the Yankees, I had the Braves at 6. But I think the Yankees right now, they're just having some really hard times. And I got to do it. I still think they're a very talented team. But I think just because of how bad the Yankees have been playing lately, minus a really good game on Saturday, right? I think you just have to make the move, right? So let me adjust this really quick. Here we go. Hold on, there it is. All right, so yeah, we're going to make the audible. We're going to go Yankees at 6 and Braves at 5. Everyone, hold on just 1 second for me. Okay, sorry about that. I had to go send a quick text message. I apologize. Where were we? Braves at number 5, Yankees at 6. Let's start with the Yankees here. As we all just saw, losing 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox. They got swept by the Reds earlier in the week. Third in offense on the year, but they're very up and down lately. Ben Rice, 3 home runs against my Red Sox on Saturday. That was amazing. But they're just not getting they're not getting the whole lineup stepping up lately. They really got to get this going here. Luis Gil, give him a lot of credit. He really stepped up. He had a bad start against Cincinnati last time out. He really stepped it up tonight. Very good performance for him. In the end, Devers ended up ruining it, but overall it was a good start. Cole had his bumps against the Red Sox on Saturday, gave up the home run. I thought that was hilarious the way he reacted, but he picked up the win. He's still trying to find his way. I think give him the All-Star break, and I think he'll be fine. Cortez, he was pretty good against the Red Sox on Friday. Stroman, not great lately, though. Rodon's been kind of whatever. But the Yankees are just hitting some tough times, right? The bullpen hasn't been as sharp. I think leave the rotation alone. I mean, Crochet would be quite the ad if they ended up pulling that off. I think they would have to give up someone like Spencer Jones. I don't know. I think the offense, I feel like they need something there that's going to help things be a bit more consistent. I think DJ LeMahieu, I don't know, man. I'm worried about LeMahieu. I am. He's just not looking great. I don't know. I think the Yankees, they need to add something for this bullpen. I think someone like Tanner Scott would be a nice piece at the back end. I think that would be really nice to go along with Clay Holmes. I just think they need something else in this lineup. You can't just rely on Judge and Soto, right? That's the one thing with the Yankees. And, for a while it was, okay, they were lived and died with Judge. Now it's like they live and die with Judge and Soto. But it's like, they're going to need these other guys to start doing some more. Like, that's why it was nice to see Ben Rice do some stuff the other day. So, but for the Braves, like I said, a big series win against the Phillies over the weekend. Downtimes after the Giants series, losing 2 out of 3, but that's a big way to come back, right? 16th in offense overall on the year. But remember what I told you last Sunday. I said last Sunday that I could see this offense starting to wake up a little bit. Now, when you take a look at xWOBA, expected weighted on-base average, the Braves are 9th overall. They're a top 10 when it comes to that stat, and that's a pretty important stat, expected weighted on-base average. And the Braves, they've shown signs of being a good offense. They just haven't been able to fully click. And I think today you saw what this offense can do, even without Ronald Acuna Jr., right? Matt Olson, Duvall, Kelenic, Eli White hit a home run today. I think the Braves are capable of being a top 10 offense, even without Ronald Acuna Jr. I think they could add something. I think someone like Brent Rooker, I think would make a lot of sense. I could see that, right? We'll see. But, they just need these guys to just get it going, right? Make the adjustments, really, go dig into those scouting reports, really just do what you got to do to get the job done. I think they will. Albies, he's been hot lately. And again, the strength with the Braves has been the pitching, right? Lopez rightfully getting voted to the All-Star team. Got to love that. He was solid against the Phillies today. Schwellenbach, he was pretty good against the Phillies as well. Fried, Morton, yeah, they took some L's, but this past week, but the pitching is so good with this team. Good bullpen as well. Lopez, Sale, Ozuna, All-Stars. I like this Braves team. Sure, I think they're one of those teams where maybe the win column doesn't look amazing, but I think they're better than that. I really do. So we got a couple of super chats here before I get to the top 4. We had a couple more come in here, and we obviously got to see what Sound FX has to say. $10 super chat. Braves are number 5. Heck yes. Lost for San Francisco, but beat our divisional nemesis. Offense turned on. The ignition. Pitching is great. 7 games on the road before the All-Star break. 4 against Arizona. They're hot. That's going to be tough. 3 against San Diego. Lopez for NL Cy Young. Hey, you got to be feeling really jazzed up after that Phillies series. I would be too. I mean, you see me with the Red Sox and the Yankees tonight, man. When you beat your divisional rival and your team is in contention, it's just such a good feeling, man. So good. Let me catch up on these other super chats here. Nick Young, $1.99. Who do you think the Braves should go for in the outfield? I just mentioned. I know I've said Brent Rooker a lot, but someone like him, Taylor Ward, I think could make some sense, right? So I think a corner outfielder, like a right-handed bat, right, that you could put in there. Rooker, he's under control, and I know eventually you're going to get Ronald Acuna Jr. back, so it's like, but I think it's kind of one of those, if you add an outfielder that's under contract control, you just figure it out when the time comes, right? That's what I would like to see. Colin, $5. I would say trade Nick York or Blaze Jordan for Eric Fetty, Flaherty, York, Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Colin. I do. I think Flaherty is a piece to look out for. He's someone that's not really going to cost a whole lot. He's had the injuries and not a great track record. So I think that brings his value down. Even though he is having a good season, there's only the 1 year on the deal. Yeah, you'd have to pay a little bit of that salary. But yeah, I think you can make a deal for someone like him. Eric Fetty, I really could see the Red Sox looking at a guy like that who's kind of got some funky stuff, right? I could see that, right? And he would be under control for next year. I think York would actually be too much for someone like Flaherty. I could see, like, if you're looking at, looking a deal for Flaherty, I think you could maybe do something like an Alan Castro, like a Mikey Romero, someone like that. Maybe you do like Yordani Monegro, right? Like a guy that's pretty far away. Blaze Jordan, I think you could see that, right? But yeah, I think I would prefer an Eric Fetty, to be completely honest. If I were to pick one, I wouldn't be mad at Flaherty, though. That's what I think the Red Sox should do. Don't go for these, go for broke kind of guys. Make some smaller moves, but I think if there is a guy that could do that, I think it is Craig Breslow. In my opinion, Breslow, look at the Cooper Criswell move, right? Look at the pickup of Justin Slayton over the offseason. Breslow has shown he can make those low-key kind of moves, and you can get good value out of it, right? So I trust Breslow at the trade deadline. I think he's the perfect man for that job right now. So I don't expect him to get rid of any big prospects. S. Cole, TYA Catch 84 with a $10 super chat. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. And I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Twins should be higher than the Braves, and the Yankees love the show. I think you actually, I don't think that's completely crazy. I actually don't even think it's crazy at all to have that opinion. Funny enough, when I crunch my numbers, when I'm looking at, weighted runs created plus, when I'm looking at FIP, when I'm looking at defense, the Twins right now I don't necessarily go with the order because I have like a whole little algorithm that I put together. I don't go with this list necessarily from 1 to 30. I always adjust it a little bit. When it came to crunching the numbers, the Twins actually are 4th on this list. Now, the Twins, they're 5th in offense, they're 14th in starting pitching, but they're 7th in the bullpen, and they're 9th in defense. I think you make a pretty good argument. Right now, so I had the Braves at 4. The Twins at 4. I had the Braves at 3, surprisingly. That's kind of why I'm thinking like, okay, I see a bit more upside with the Braves. I think the offense just needs to get it going. I think you make the argument for the Twins over the Yankees, though. I think you could. Here's the thing. Here's where I'm at with the Twins. They have my attention now because I think I've been on this sort of weird thing where they were so hot and cold a little while ago. I just want to see what they look like at the end of July. I'm ready to put the Twins in my top 5. I'm ready to see it a little bit more, right? So I think you make a really good point. Also, how do the Twins only have one All-Star? Actually, yeah, it was Carlos Correa. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, Carlos Correa, only All-Star. He's having a good year. I think he's actually having a pretty low-key year. And pulling up the numbers really quick, when it comes to the Twinkies, I think you could make an argument for Joe Ryan. I think Sonny Gray could have an argument to be there. If we're looking at guys, Willie Castro, he's been pretty decent this year. He's given you good defense. I don't know if this is enough of a slash line to get there. But yeah, pitching-wise for the Twins, I think you could... Oh, sorry. Did I say Sonny Gray? I'm so sorry. I swear, my potato brain, I'm so used to Gray being on the Twins. Sorry. I meant he could definitely be an all-star for the Cardinals. I definitely think that. Joe Ryan, I think, has an argument. The thing with Joe Ryan, ERA is a 3.29, which is not bad, right? I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of just not quite enough right there. You know what I mean? He's got good strikeout numbers, 9.7 per 9. really good walk numbers, 1.3. That's where I think Joe Ryan, I think gets overlooked, is he doesn't walk a lot of guys. So, yeah, I think Ryan could be there. Yeah, I think so. Jose Miranda, yeah, I mean, he's come up and he's really done some damage. I just feel like he hasn't, if I'm going to look here, let me see here. Jose Miranda. Yeah, Miranda, these numbers, hitting 328, 531 slugging, 9 homers. Yeah. I wonder if it's he just hasn't played as much as some of the top guys that ended up making it. I feel like, when you got, guys in the American League that have played, 90, so games, I feel like Castro probably just didn't play enough games, right? Maybe that's just my opinion. But the Twins, hey, I think they'd rather go for a World Series than have all these All-Stars. I'm just saying. Moving on here, let's get this wrapped up. At number 4, we got the Dodgers. Like I said earlier, losing 2 out of 3 to the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have been hot, but they won 2 out of 3 against the Brewers. They still have the best offense in Major League Baseball. Smith, Freeman, Hernandez hitting well. Starting pitching was a little clunky this past week, though. Dead last in starting pitching. Glasnow gave up 5 against the Brewers. Stone, Knack, Paxton, not very crisp as of late. Bullpen, whatever. I think they need to get healthy a little bit. Yamamoto, they got to get him back at some point. They've had some guys out in the bullpen. I believe Joe Kelly's coming back really soon. So, but yeah, I'm sure the Dodgers pitching, it hasn't been amazing lately, but I'm still a believer in this Dodgers team. 6 All-Stars: Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, and Glasnow. So, of course, the Dodgers are going to have a ton of All-Stars. Moving on here, going to number 3, we got the Cleveland Guardians. I'm loving what the Guardians are doing. They bump up a spot this week, winning both their series against the Giants and the White Sox. 11th in offense. Bo Naylor, go-ahead 3-run home run today. Quan, Tyler Freeman, they've been hitting well lately. So offense, hey, I've been a fan of this offense all year. Starting pitching, I say it every week. I think they need to add something to this rotation. I hope they go and add something to this rotation. Ben Lively picked up a win this past week, but they need more. The bullpen, this bullpen's amazing, but is the bullpen going to be, postseason time? You need effective starting pitching, right? The bullpen is amazing. You can't run on that alone, right? You can't count on Clase to throw every inning for you, obviously, right? Yeah, he was really good this week. Couple of saves. Bullpen is great, right? But they need to help out that bullpen a little bit. Usually you think of bullpen needs to help out the rotation. Okay, no, this time the rotation needs to help out this bullpen a little bit more, right? Oh, man, Guardians, they're just in the zone when it comes to this bullpen. But they need a little something else. All-Stars, you got J-Ram, Quan, Clase, Naylor, and David Fry. You got to love what Fry is doing, man. I'm so glad this guy got a vote to the All-Star game. I'm so happy about that. He has been so good. Come on. This year he is having... Let me pull up the numbers here. David Fry has come out of nowhere this year, hitting 305, a 412 on base, a 920 OPS overall. Good for him. I'm glad they got him, man. I'm glad they got him to the All-Star game. Oh, we got a massive super chat. Whoa. I saw some colors on my screen. I'm like, what the heck is that? Nathan, $50 super chat. Oh, my. Guardians have 5 players in the All-Star game. Did you ever think David Fry would be an All-Star? I'm hoping they do something big at the deadline to help hopefully win a World Series this year. I need one in my lifetime. Let's go Guardians. First off, thank you so much for that. My goodness, that's amazing. I really appreciate that. I'm right there with you, man. Go make a move. Go get a guy, right? Now, with Crochet, right? I know that's in division, but with where the White Sox are at, does that really matter if you give up a whole bunch of stuff to the White Sox. They're not going to be, good for a couple of years anyway. Someone like Crochet, if they were to make an in-division trade, I think that could be pretty decent. We'll see, man. We'll see. I agree, though. I think they need to go add impact starting pitching wherever they can, right? If I'm thinking of some guys. By the way, my one trade for each team by the deadline, that will be coming out at some point in the next couple of weeks. Probably, maybe even next week. We'll see. I'm really focused on the draft this coming week, but I mean, maybe even drop that. Maybe the night of the draft. I don't know. I want to get that out as soon as possible. But we got a lot of draft content this week. So, if I'm looking at pitching, right? I mean, same thing with Scooble, right? That I think is even more unlikely that the Tigers would trade Scooble to the Guardians. You could make the argument for Crochet. I just don't see that with Scooble. Probably not. If I'm looking at other guys, could you do Yusei Kikuchi? But is that a guy that's going to really get you to the promised land? I don't know. Even Flaherty, is that going to be a pitcher that's really going to get you there? I don't know, man. I don't think so. I feel like I'm missing someone. Again, I got to dive a bit more into this over the next week. Fetty's having a good year, but is that a guy that's going to get you to a World Series? He could help. I mean, for sure. I don't know. But if I'm looking for an impact guy, I would definitely see if you can go get Crochet. I would see. I don't know. You also got to think, too, with Crochet, I would imagine there's going to be some kind of an innings thing with him because he's thrown the most innings of his career so far. So could you imagine a scenario? Let's say they go get Crochet, and then at some point, you got to kind of use him as a reliever, right? Oh, my goodness. Could you imagine that bullpen in the postseason with Clase and Crochet? I'm just saying. Now, I don't know if that actually happens, but I don't know, man. The Guardians got to do something with this rotation. My friend, Nathan, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. You have no idea how much that really helps support the channel. It's huge. Thank you so much for that. And, hey, I hope the Guardians keep playing well. I had a great week. Great week for the Guardians. Number two, we got... I'm going to make some people grumpy. I know I am. You could go the Phillies or the Orioles here. I can see this team being number one. I can see it. I can smell it. I kind of want to do it. A part of me is really feeling it. I'm not fully there yet. I'm not ready to turn it over just yet. I got the Orioles at 2, and I got the Phillies at 1. I'm so close to putting the Orioles there. I know. So close. I know. Orioles won 2 out of 3 against the Phillies. I know. Phillies just lost 2 out of 3 to the Braves. They won 2 out of 3 against the Cubs. I just really like this Phillies team. I know. The Orioles won both their series this week, 2 out of 3 against against the Mariners and the A's. They're second in offense. Gunnar Henderson continues to be great. I believe he's going to be in the home run derby. Hayes, O'Hearn, they're hot lately. They're not getting a whole lot from the other bats. Orioles, that's the thing with the Orioles, man. They got so many guys here. Starting pitching has not been amazing, minus Grayson Rodriguez. He's been really good lately. Got the win against Seattle. Solid today against Oakland. Kramer was really good against Seattle, too. 5 shutout innings. But, you got Burns there. Not really worried about it. Bullpen, they're really stepping it up lately. Man, love what they've been doing in that bullpen. Craig Kimbrell, he's really gotten himself together. I remember that, go back, what was it, about a month or two ago, and people were like, wow, Craig Kimbrell is done. He is washed. Get a new closer there, and he has really turned himself around. I love this Orioles team. I really do. They're my World Series pick coming into the year, or my American League World Series representative coming into the year. I'm still feeling really good about that one. I really like this Orioles team. It's just this Phillies team right now. It's so close. Like if you're looking at it like a vote, I'm like 50.1% Phillies, 49.9% Orioles. It's so close. So close. So close. Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Burns, all-stars for the Orioles. Westberg, Santander, not going to the All-Star game. I think Westberg, I think, deserved a chance there. Santander, I think you can make an argument for. Either way, the Orioles are so good. Phillies, though, Turner, Castellanos, they've been hitting well lately. Nola, on the pitching side of things, did pick up a win against the Braves. Wheeler was really good against the Cubs. Even had Mercado pitch pretty well against the Cubs, but then he gave up 5 against the Braves today, so we'll see what happens there. They're first in the bullpens. Love that bullpen, but I feel like I want the Phillies to add a weapon into that bullpen. I think Michael Kopech would be really nice. Just a hard thrower back there that you can just postseason time, you got a guy that can just toss 100, right? Go out there and shut it down a little bit. 7 All-Stars. That's a club record. Harper, Turner, Bohm, Wheeler, Suarez, Strom, and Hoffman. I want to give a big shout out to Jeff Hoffman, man. This guy's been really good. Good. Let me pull up these numbers here. Jeff Hoffman, everyone talks about Mason Miller this year, right? Everyone talks about Mason Miller, which rightfully so. Mason Miller is amazing, but Jeff Hoffman is second in Fangraph wins above replacement among all relievers, and Matt Strom is second. These guys have been nails in that bullpen. Hoffman, a 1.21 ERA. Strom, 1.64. Very good. I'm just saying, man. But despite that, I still want the Phillies to just add something more. I want more in that bullpen, right? It's like I like Jose Alvarado. I don't know. I like Alvarado, but I need something else. I want them to have another option, if that makes sense, right? Because I would like for them to have the ability to have Alvarado, bring him in certain situations where if there's a lefty there, right? I know Yordan Alvarez, crushed a home run off that guy in the World Series a couple of years ago, but still, I would like for them to just have at least one more guy they could turn to in the 9th inning if that opportunity presents itself. If they somehow pulled off something for Mason Miller, oh my God, wow, that would be amazing. But either way, you got to love what the Phillies are doing. Everyone, I'm going to wrap it up there. Those are my power rankings for this week. We won't be back with power rankings for not next week, probably not the week after that, because it'll be, will it? I know I won't be back with power rankings next week, because next week we're going to be watching the draft together. We're going to be reacting to it live together. Please make sure you have your notifications turned on. That way I'm live for it. It's been a big event on this channel the last couple of years. I'm really big on the draft. I've been really enjoying it over the last several years, and it's always a good time to have everyone come in here and react to the draft together. It's always a fun time. So see you there next Sunday. Again, make sure those notifications are turned on. Be on the lookout for my final mock draft, probably tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. And going to try and get another video out in the next, maybe even a couple of more videos in the next couple of days as well. So stay tuned for that. And hey, we're chugging along, everyone. We got the trade deadline coming up here in a few weeks. We will be live all day for the deadline on the 30th, so make sure you stay tuned for that as well. And also, Joe Doyle of Future Stars Series will be here with me live on the channel in a couple of nights. Tuesday night, July 9th, Joe Doyle will be here. We'll be talking about the draft. We'll be breaking it down, and we'll have a good conversation. So come join for that. We'll be live for that. But everyone, thank you so much for joining me for another Power Rankings. We continue to chug along here, but have yourself a great rest of your night. And let me actually just make... Oh, we had one more super chat. I am so sorry. Conman752, I'm so sorry, my friend. $5 super chat. Utter BS, the O's only got 3 All-Stars, while the Padres and Guardians got 5, and the Royals got 4. Westy should have made it over Semien. Yeah, that I think that. I think Semien has that name, right? Yeah, I don't think he should have been there. I'm not a fan of this All-Star game selection. I think it's just, I don't get it. I think something needs to change with it. But Con Man, thank you for all your super chats tonight. Nathan, again, thank you for the 50. Really appreciate that. Ethan Sacco, thank you for all the memberships you gifted tonight. Everyone else that dropped their super chat, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate all of you. Have yourself a great night, everyone, and I'll talk to you next time.